So I asked the question, what do humans want? Not what do you want, not Shambra, but the typical human. You'll need a new piece of paper here. What do humans want? Security. Yes, and we won't run the microphone, but speak loudly, and I'll repeat, just so everybody listening in online, who's also in the room here by now, I hope you've expanded and come into the room with us. So security, absolutely. Kind of interesting, a very interesting dynamic for anyone who is a spiritual psychologist. This almost doesn't make sense. You want to be here. Part of you doesn't want to be here. You complain about life, but yet you want security. You want to be even more kind of enclosed than you were yesterday. But security, good one. Good. What else do humans want? Just one at a time, don't they? Everybody's throwing this at me. Acceptance. Acceptance and acknowledgement. And acknowledgement. Yes. Which is an interesting thing in itself. How is one going to get acceptance or acknowledgement if they don't accept or acknowledge themselves? If you out there listening in here listening, if you have an acceptance issue, if you feel other people just don't accept me, they just don't understand me, it's because you don't accept or understand yourself. And did I hear somebody call out, oh crap? Yes, they want acceptance and acknowledgement. They're in this identity struggle to accept themselves. They try looking for it all the time from others. They most never occurs to them to look at it from within. So they're looking for acceptance. Do my parents accept me? Do my coworkers accept me? Does my wife or my husband accept me? Do average people in the street accept me? So they're constantly looking for that. They're looking for acknowledgement or validation. Acknowledgement that they're doing a good job. But if they don't think they're doing a good job as a human, nobody else is going to think they're doing a good job, you see. Absolutely, acceptance and acknowledgement, constantly looking. What else humans looking for? Happiness. The ever elusive happiness. What does happiness mean? What does happiness mean? Inner joy. Do you think most people even know how to spell inner joy? Probably not. No.
Okay, so under happiness we would put materiality.
It could be, yes. But you're absolutely right, and I hear it all the time. You have to. One of the amazing things about being in the non-physical form is if you tune in, you can actually hear prayers, and there's a lot of them every night all over the world. A lot of prayers being said to, whether it's saints or gods or gurus or the unknown, but a lot of prayers, and a lot of them come out with this, dear God, I just want to be happy. Like it's up to God? Like God's going to make you happy? It's kind of interesting, and I could do a whole comedy shtick on prayers. I think I will. Whole comedy shtick about when people ask for happiness, what does that generally mean? And then I look into it energetically. It means that they're upset with their spouse or their partner, and happiness is their spouse or their partner is just being nicer to them. They never thought maybe they need to be nicer to themselves, and happiness often is, I just want a job I really love. But then when I ask them, pretending that I'm some archangel, and I ask them, well, what job do you want? What job would make you happy? Well, I don't know. Just one where people are nice to me. I don't have to work so hard, and I make a lot of money. Maybe I don't need to work at all. Maybe I just sit home. And they don't really understand this thing called happiness. What is happiness? Going out to dinner every night? But then you get fat, and then you're not happy with yourself. This whole thing of happiness is kind of like a very neutral statement or undefined statement. I want to be happy. I guess what it really means is they're not happy. There's something unfulfilled incomplete. They're looking for something, but they have no idea what it is that they want. So it becomes a kind of an interesting game, and I hope I'm not being too crass here.
Go ahead.
But I'm trying to be clear, I guess. Clear. But it becomes an interesting game of elusive happiness. Always out there somewhere. Never here. Always out there. I would be happy if my kids were smarter. I'd be happy if I was a little younger. If I didn't have these physical problems. If I hadn't had such bad parents who gave me such uninteresting physical looks. You see, it truly becomes a game. Great. What else are humans looking for?
Love.
Love. Go ahead. What is love? That's a song. What is love? How is that?
Baby, don't hurt me, because they go hand in hand. See?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. You can stand. Would you like to be a celebrity?
No.
Yeah, you really do want to be. I want to be a celebrity. So what is love? That's an interesting thing. I contend that the mass consciousness belief about love is generally kind of warped, because love is generally associated with parents who abused you. Not everybody, but a lot, most, vast majority. The extremely vast majority. So how many of you had parents that says, I'm going to smack you now, or I'm going to deprive you of something, but it's because I love you? And that sets up kind of an interesting, energetic definition of love. How many online, I want to ask people here, how many online have been divorced? More than once, more than twice. Oh, keep going. Okay, more than 5 times. So you got married for love. Well, actually, you didn't at all. Most of you did not get married for love. It was karma. You'd been together before. You had things to work out and experience together. So you came back together. You met each other. Oh, I know you. You must be my soulmate. No, you've just been together before. You had stuff to work out. Maybe you could do it this lifetime. True love will never be found in another person until you find it in yourself. Never have a partnership with anyone else that's healthy and balanced until you have it with yourself. Then every relationship will be different. They won't be feeding. They won't be used to balance your masculine or feminine side or balance whatever. You never select a partner again to complete something within yourself. So I hear out there somebody saying, but what about love for my dog or my cat? What about that kind of love? You're getting close, because pets are basically extensions of you, kind of. Not you directly, because then you wouldn't like the pet so much, but they're kind of like your energy in that pet. And so it's actually part of the step or process in learning to love yourself. If you can learn to love your animals, your pets, these blessed beings, you can take that now, that same thing, and learn to love yourself. Meow, meow. So, what else do humans want? Come on. Don't. Distraction, absolutely, yes. Distraction, they get it. Distraction. They don't know they want distraction. They don't realize that, but that's exactly what they set up. It's a root cause. It's an energy thing. They want that. How come we haven't listed money here? That's really what a lot of it boils down to. Really. Money. Because money gives you security. With money, you think you're going to be accepted. You're going to have happiness. Everybody will love you. And then you're going to distract yourself with all the money you have. It's more in the Western cultures. Yes, I'm hearing. This is a very noisy audience. And not you, but the ones who have joined us. You know, they're willing to speak up more when they're not sitting here. I can hear them yelling at their computers. Yes, it's a Western thing. So, absolutely. But it's not just dollars or pesos or euros, but it's that abundance thing. Everybody wants it because it is a mass consciousness game. It's a huge things set up in the fabric of mass consciousness. Goods, material, security. So it's very much out there. So much of the pursuit is about that. And everyone here, physically or non-physically, you need to be honest with yourself. If you were given 3 wishes, one of them is going to be money or abundance. You're going to say abundance because, cash. Not just credit, not a 20-year payout on a jackpot, but cash now. And then you call it abundance because it sounds better, doesn't it? Yeah, I choose abundance. No, you're asking for money. So this is an issue. It's huge, and never feel guilty about it. It's just energy. It is just energy. That's all it is. It's energy that is kind of at a lowest common denominator. Everyone's agreed that they're going to use this for trade, and believe it or not, this planet, I don't care what the politicians say, this planet will come down to a common currency. There still may be other sub-currencies, but sooner or later it's going to. It only makes sense. Why would you have all sorts of different currencies that you have to convert when you travel, which is easy to do these days, and then you have to convert it, and somebody's making some money off the conversion. The money changers, you know how Yeshua felt about them. Table over. So you are going to come down with a single currency, maybe backed up or having more localized currencies as well, but sooner or later, and I know some of you, not some of you, but some people think that's some big plot for one world order. Yes, absolutely. What else? What else do humans want? Purpose. Absolutely. Thank you. Purpose. Why? Good question. Should be a relatively easy one. Why do humans want purpose? Gives them meaning to life. You know, it gives them meaning, and it's in a way it's this distraction. It can be wonderful, but it can also be a distraction. Somebody says, "I am an airline pilot," for instance. It's my purpose, or I am a spiritual healer or teacher. It's a purpose. Or that they are a banker or whatever it happens to be. It's a purpose, and it can also be a rut. But it makes them feel like they have something to do here on earth. How many, I don't need to see hands, but how many are like, well, I'm a parent. That's what I'm here for. Well, no, not really. Well, no, that's the most important thing to me in life is my children. Well, now, do you want that to be the most important thing to their children and to their children's children? So everybody, the whole purpose is just to have children and to pass this down. Isn't there a little bit higher purpose? Children are wonderful. It's a way of continuing and expanding, but not getting stuck. So humans cling to purpose. They cling to purpose. In the midst of the storm, they hang on to that purpose for dear life. They use to justify this life. They get to the other side, and I'll do a comedy show about that someday. Funny things that happen when people cross over to the other side. So often they say, I wasted my whole life on that. And oftentimes it wasn't even in joy. And they realize, put a lot of energy into something that wasn't really all that important. Okay, one or two more. What do humans want? Pardon? Health. Absolutely. Health. And, you know, it's interesting with so many of the dynamics going on. They want health, obviously. You want to feel good. By the way, pain, which is really what they don't want, pain is absolutely from the mind. It's not in the body.
Literally.
Body doesn't know anything about pain. It's only the mind. So and that's not just an Adamus fact. That's also scientific fact. If I would stamp on David's foot here, even though he's wearing very heavy shoes, the pain isn't in his foot. It's in his mind. Humans don't want pain. They say they want health, but it's so elusive right now. It really is. I mean, humans seem to be getting more and more sicknesses, diseases, part of it's because of mass consciousness. You throw it out there about cancer, throw it out there about all these diseases. If you breathe the air in Cincinnati, you're going to get cancer. That's what they say. And so then people adapt that. Suddenly you have a lot of unhealthy people. I'll wait for that statement. So, okay, next page, please. That's what humans want. And the list could go on and on, but that's a pretty good list. So, here's part of this life design process. Your life design is absolutely brilliant. Saying, what? That's absolutely brilliant. How you've segmented yourself, partitioned yourself, forgotten part of yourself, and therefore experienced yourself. It's been absolutely brilliant. Brilliant. So brilliant that this thing that we call wisdom, the soul, the essence, is part of that life design with you. Working with you right now, even though you're going, I don't know. I haven't talked to my soul ever. Doesn't respond to my many, many requests and demands. I haven't won the lottery. I am getting a little bit older. So I don't understand this whole soul thing. Look at the life design, and you're actually in cahoots with it. You're part of it. But there are elements that reach beyond what your consciousness is aware of, and that is a good thing. Thank God. That's a good thing. If it was the human self, the limited awareness, human self, running everything, right now, you would be a 7-year-old with a lot of toys and the fastest bike in the neighborhood. You would have stopped right there. That would have been it. Because your human self controlling everything and said, that's it for a 7-year-old. Toys, Xbox, or whatever you call these things. No rules from the parents. Free run of the house. Parents actually serving you, waiting on you hand and foot, which is the way it is these days. Anyway, a fast bike better than anybody else's. Remember that when you were about that age? That was it. That was the pinnacle. That was it. You didn't contemplate spiritual qualities. You didn't look at things like your life experience. You were very much in the moment, but very much in limited awareness. The good news is you have had this life design plan going on with your wisdom. And your wisdom said, no, you're not going to have the fastest bike because it's not part of this beautiful plan. The life design that you are part of, you're not a puppet to it at all. You're a part of it. You're an active part. But that life design plan said, we're going to keep going. We're going to get into 3rd grade and 4th grade and graduate, go to college. We're going to do all these things. Why? Part of the experience. Part of the grand experience of life. Part of sensuality. Also, part of life, an important part of life. Because this life, as Tobias said, is like no other. We're going to come back to this time and time again, and I'm going to call you on it during the year, but the fight is over. Whatever it is, health, relationships, self-loathing, self-doubt, food, any sort of addictions, and there are no addictions, it's all mental. Any sort of thing that you're struggling against with yourself, including the why haven't I achieved more in my life. I'm going to throw up if I ever see any of you thinking that, because you're looking at yourself through this little microscopic view. You're looking at yourself. You say, why? Other people have achieved more. Other people haven't come to this planet at one of the most beautiful but challenging times to be an embodied master. Is there anything grander? Well, just another degree is going to be better than that? A little bit more money, a bigger house? I don't think so. So when you get into that fight with yourself about what you've accomplished, let it go. No more fights. Half of this sounds good. Oh, good. No more fights. Half of it is going to be very difficult because you're conditioned to the battle. the struggle. You're conditioned to holding back. You're conditioned to having these demons of doubt in your life, saying no more, stop doing that, you're a bad person, be nice. So it's going to feel very, very uncomfortable. Last month we talked about you being bringers of the new energy. It's actually a very impressive title. It's more impressive than even being a general in the army. It's actually more challenging than being a president of a corporation or a country. I would go so far as to say it is probably, if you took a list at the stress level of all the jobs that there are, I'd be at the top. Truly, they'd be at the top. You're not just making little changes, you're making huge changes, and you have to face yourself every day. Toughest thing a human will ever do. They find every reason in the world to fill their day with activities so they don't have to face themselves. You've chosen to face yourself. Toughest thing a human can do. So here you are, bringers of the new energy, whatever you want to call it, the soon-to-be enlightened, the ones who are bringing new energy to this planet, the ones, and Calder's questioning me if I'm just, fluffing you up a little bit. Absolutely not. That's why I said before, I'm surprised you're here. I mean, really, I'm surprised you're still here. I mean, I'm surprised you're still on this planet. It is stressful. It is so challenging. It's not incremental. It's not linear. It's mind-boggling what you're doing. So here you are, bringers of the new energy, liberators of yourself. How's it going? How's it going? And I asked the question, and there's not an Adamus answer to this, because I've already done it. I want you to hear yourselves, and I want others to hear you, because there's so many times where you're doubting, where you're wondering, is this real? Am I doing the right thing? Is this something am I just going a little crazy or really crazy? So by sharing and hearing others for a moment, you begin to understand the magnitude of what you're really doing. Yeah, some of you think, well, I'm just mid-level manager. We'll have private session. We'll correct that. But you think, I'm just this. I haven't done anything huge on my resume. No. You aren't just. You are absolutely amazing for what you're doing. You are going through everything. You are going back through everything. Even before you were even on this planet, you're going back through it, rebalancing the energies, releasing and freeing energies in consciousness. What you're going through right now is absolutely unprecedented, and I do wish you'd give yourself credit for it. It has nothing to do with your everyday job. That's just a disguise. It's just a distraction. It's about the movements in consciousness you're making for yourself, but it's affecting this entire planet. Oh, and more than that, it's affecting this entire universe. It's affecting all of creation. So, it was just a time to smile. But, my dear friends, it's both. It's this openness to the transformation that occurs. And I'm going to talk more about that in just a moment. But the transformation is absolutely brutal and thorough. Brutal in a way that sometimes you wished you had died in the middle of the night without pain. Brutal, it comes over every part of you. Enlightenment isn't about just having a little better human life, but enlightenment will get you a better human life. But you can't put the better human life first, but so many on the spiritual path actually do. So many who I've worked with in the past, in the mystery schools, ones who have been my students, and even the ones who have allowed their enlightenment, have said that it was all about the enlightenment, have said that nothing mattered more than their enlightenment, but yet their everyday actions and their thoughts and their choices, probably choices being first, were not about enlightenment. They were about really just trying to have a little better human life. And this sets up a tremendous conflict, a huge conflict that each and every one of you are facing in your everyday lives. You say you want enlightenment. Most of you don't even know what enlightenment is. Not from up here, but you know it from in here. But you say you want enlightenment. But yet the day-to-day actions and choices are really about just a little better human life. You feel it so deeply, this thing called enlightenment, but you sell out so easily for this thing called a little better human life. Every one of you knows exactly what I'm talking about. Every one of you knows the contradiction that you live within. No doubt. Today we're here to let it be okay to have that contradiction. It's natural. No sense in trying to fight it anymore. Tell yourself that you're doing a bad job with this thing called enlightenment. Wonder where you're going to get the next new message that's going to put it all together. My dear friends, it's natural. This whole conflict between a better human life and true enlightenment, the whole conflict between what is happening for each and every one of you, a transformation of the truest and the deepest sense. It is happening for every one of you here, watching online, watching later, no doubt about it. And also this tendency to sell out to a better human life. So today, one of the things I'm asking of each and every one of you is to be okay with that. To be absolutely, perfectly okay with that. This thing of enlightenment, as good as it sounds, is so brutal, so unforgiving in every way. The moment that you have the realization of your awakening, the moment that all that whole transformation and realization starts, it will go into every part of you, uncover every deception, every macchio, every limitation, every thing that is held in an unnatural state of consciousness. You're going to resist it. You're going to hold on to things. You're going to say that you're spiritual, think that you're spiritual, and it's going to come along and show you in the most brutal way that you're not. Because spiritual itself is one of the very things that will keep you from enlightenment. Absolutely. This thing of enlightenment, it doesn't define itself, it doesn't know itself as being brutal. It knows itself as being compassionate. It knows itself, this enlightenment, this realization, it knows itself of cleansing all that dirt and grease and tar and accumulated junk from your life. And there's that part of you that's going to try to hold on to it. That part of you that's going to try for a better human life. That part of you that at one point is saying, I want enlightenment, I'll die for enlightenment, but the other part is clinging on to an identity that is not real. Not real meaning that it's not, that it's false. Not false, it's limited. It's not real because it's not the whole thing. It's not real when you're just trying to focus on happy spiritual times, on joy and peace to the world, because it's not the whole thing. The whole thing is also the agony and the profundity and the pain and the realization and the nothingness all at the same time. And the enlightenment, the I amness, this wave of, it's actually wave after wave of enlightenment that comes in, is going to keep coming in. Is going to keep in an unrelenting way until you are released from the limitations of consciousness. Yeah, well, you say that now, all right, but there are many, many, many facets of yourself and expressions of yourself which are here right now, which go far beyond anything that, well, that the human mind could even imagine. So you don't try to, you simply allow. There are things called enlightenment in the divine that the human cannot possibly manufacture or force or command, but you can allow. And sometimes in the allowing, it means that life is going to have different twists and turns of what the human expected. But this human who's trying so hard to be enlightened has an expectation of what would come next. What comes next is truly part of your God algorithm, your divine algorithm, but it may not be consistent with, it may be in conflict with what you call your human algorithm. Humans just being asked to allow this. The human might have thought he or she was going to be some grand spiritual teacher in this lifetime, and it just hasn't even come close. But that was a very human expectation. Now, dear human, you're just being asked to allow. It's like receiving yourself, but not a self that is limited by you, by the human. You're being asked to receive all that you are, but it may be in contradiction to what the human expected. Can you allow that? Can you allow that there might be a lot more than just trying to sand off the fine edges of your human life to make it a little bit more cushy? And that other things are happening right now. That may make the human a bit uncomfortable. What are you going to put on your business card?
Hi, everybody. You sort of just said it. Allowing my sovereignty and freedom, in parentheses right underneath, scared shitless all the way.
Yeah.
So it's the breath, it's the...
Allowing sovereignty, parentheses, scared and excited.
Yes, and excited.
I like
Thank
to
you.
refine
Oh,
things.
thank you.
Scared and excited,
Take
sure.
the shitless
And you all
part
should
out.
be. Yeah, you should be. And that's actually kind of fun. It's most humans are bored, and most of you are not. That's a good thing. Scared, what did you call it?
Scared shitless.
Yeah, okay.
All the way.
I wanted you
But-
to say that bad word, not me. Scared, but excited.
It's very exciting.
You know, what if, just imagine for a moment, what if you woke up tomorrow morning and suddenly it's like all of this that you've been doing these years in your own sovereignty allowing, let's say suddenly they were taken away from you. and you had to go back to regular life.
I'm at the point right now where I have that choice. I'm going on, and it's very
To
scary.
my side?
No, I mean,
Oh,
I'll
oh, oh,
stay here,
yeah,
just
yeah.
another part of the country.
Okay, another part of
but
the country. Okay.
But the thought of staying here, which I've thought of a few times, it's just like
Could
I couldn't stay here.
offer something
Please.
as you are about to embark on a journey? You will go on the journey. There are going to be some unexpected twists and turns. Be good with it. Just be good with it. It may not be what you expect, but it's going to be grander. So don't get all in a tiz and call me late at night.
Don't get my shorts in a wad and go, Adamus, where are you? What do you? Thank you.
I'll just be smiling.
Thank you.
Yeah, but it's
Thank you.
all, sometimes there's an expectation that the humans have the way things should be. And a lot of times they don't turn out that way. But they forget to open their eyes and say, but actually this turned out a lot better. A lot better. Whew. Thank
Exciting.
goodness I didn't listen to just the limited human self. Good.
That's the exciting part. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you. And you're going to realize that there's things that are going to happen in your life that are going to be beyond what this human here could have imagined. Because I got to tell you right now, as we get into this new series, you're really limited in what you imagine for yourself. Really limited. It's kind of like being given if you're an artist, being given a whole studio filled with canvases and paintbrushes and acrylics or oils and welding equipment and anything to compose artwork, and then just taking out a pack of crayons, children's school crayons, and one little sheet of paper and tearing that in half because you didn't want to waste it, and drawing on that. And that's what you're going to come to realize, that the dreams of the human were so limited, so very limited. And I understand why the human dreams, but really they're failure dreams. They really are. I mean, not that you're dreaming of failure, but you do. But you dream something so human, and then it doesn't work out. And then slowly, over time, you stop dreaming. Slowly, you withhold on the dreams because it's like, oh, that didn't work out. I was such a fool. No, it wasn't that you were a fool. It's actually that you didn't dream beyond the human. You didn't open to the dreams of the I am. And once you do that, once we walk on beyond the human limitations and dreams, we walk on into the powerless life. All those things are just there, the jobs, the money, and you realize with a big laugh, why was I so focused on that when it's just here? It's not magic. We're going to go into the physics this year, explain why it's not magic. It is just consciousness. That's all. That's all. The human might get a little upset about this. Yeah. Yeah, for the first time, right? I've said before that you don't really have a destiny. And I loved astrology. I studied it for many, many lifetimes. I loved it. But it's the first time ever publicly admitting this, but I finally threw out all the books, threw them out, got rid of everything about astrology, because I got very frustrated after studying it deeply for many lifetimes. I got very frustrated because it didn't explain everything. It wasn't a nice, neat, easy, clean mathematical equation. And I kept on finding things that were wrong with it. Why doesn't this work? If you're a Pisces or you're a Cancer and you're born on these dates, and I'd do all the charts and everything back then. We didn't have your fancy computers. I'd have to do it by hand. I'd do all the charts, and it still didn't make sense. So I finally had to throw them all out. I got sick and tired of it. You know how some of you, perhaps if you're golfers, you know, you golf all your life, and one day you just get so frustrated you take that bag of clubs and throw it into the pond and say, never again, I'm tired of chasing the stupid ball. It was kind of one of those moments, done with astrology. I realized later, for a lot of reasons, is that, first of all, astrology doesn't take into account a lot of things, like past lives. Astrology doesn't take into account points of separation, the awakening, for instance. You really have to factor that in because it changes everything. And astrology doesn't take into account hidden potentials, potentials that are behind the stars, so to speak, that could come out with just a little moving, a little shaking. But astrology also bothered me because many people believed, as I did for a while, that there was a star destiny, that you were destined to certain things based on the stars, based on your birth date and everything else. I actually realized pretty quick that it wasn't a firm destiny, but it was too firm for my taste. Why should one be born under the influence of stars? And I know some of you astrologers out there are screaming right now, but get over astrology. I did. Drop it. I realized that it confined a person, particularly if they really believed in it. And they thought, these are the tools that I have. This is what's going to happen to me in my lifetime. This is what I'm destined to do. A couple of years ago, I said, there is no destiny. There's no destiny. There's no stars that are... You're all the signs and many other signs. You know, they talk about 12 signs of astrology. I discovered... wasn't published ever, but I discovered there was actually 144, and probably many beyond that. So, astrology. So I didn't like the concept that a person was destined. And I know some of you are thinking, well, no, they're just influences. Yeah, but people who really study their own astrology or look at their own astrology then take it as a destiny. I said, there's no destiny. You're free. You are free beings to choose whatever you want. But there's one thing I left out. There's one exception, well, actually 1.5 exceptions to that. And that's one of the things I'd like to talk about today, a soul destiny. And it's not so bad. Some of you are like really feeling anxious and like, a soul destiny. Let's start with the premise that you came to this planet, you took on a lot of lifetimes, the human took on a lot of lifetimes of experience. You finally got to the point, maybe it was last lifetime, probably, some of you this lifetime, but you got to the point and said, no more, that's it. I've experienced what there is to experience. I have gone through love and I've gone through hate. I've been a pauper. I've been a prophet. Isn't there a song about that? I've been all these things, and I've had it. Most of the time when you said that, it was kind of in disgust. It wasn't like a feeling of bliss and fulfillment. It was like, this is it. This planet sucks. I don't want to be here anymore. That set up this lifetime, changed the dynamics for when you would come in, the family, the path that you would take, and everything else. Some of you actually didn't hit that point of disgust until this lifetime, maybe when you're in your late teens, early adulthood, or whenever. And you said, "That's it. I'm done. I'm done." That was the human calling out to the master and to spirit, although they didn't realize it at the time, calling out and saying, "Fine. I'm off of this." And you have every right, the human has every right to say, I'm done with this. Because the master and the I am would never say, no, you got to go back for more. It's up to the human to say, I'm done. That began the awakening. And it was, in a way, for many of you, in your awakening, you felt this tremendous kind of release and relief. Because you're done. That's it. Now all you have to do is pack up your belongings and walk out the door. Kind of. Then you start this whole path into what I call mastery. It's the allowing of the wisdom. You're done, but before you leave, you got to allow in the wisdom, the master. Part of you, you're kind of in a conflict because part of you is like, I just want to get out of here. And I just want to go back into my sovereign domain. And part of you is like, ooh, yeah, I can be a human and a master. I can know everything. I can create anything I want. Maybe I'll stay around for a little while longer and see what that's about. But back to my point. You've never had destiny before. However, in this whole time from awakening into mastery, there is a destiny. There's a destiny. The destiny comes in several different ways, but first, the moment you say, I'm done, the human, hear me, master, I am, the human is done with all this, the moment you say that, you are actualized. Actualized meaning it is done. All the integration, all the enlightenment, all the realization, you are actualized. Meaning that the moment you say that, there occurs in what I would call the potential. You would probably call it the future. But it is already done. It's there. So you are done with all of your lifetimes. You are actualized at that point. You are actually enlightened. Tobias said it way back, I think in your second or third series with him. He said, you've already ascended. Now you just find out what it's like to get there. And to many, it's still an intellectual concept, but it's very, very true. You're already ascended. So that's done. There's nothing else you need to do. But the funny thing is that the human keeps thinking there's something else to do, that you haven't learned something, that there's a lesson, that there's a secret key that you have to find. None at all. None at all. So you're now, it's actualized, but you haven't actually realized it yet. In other words, you're still the human, still trying to do enlightenment, still trying to plan it and create it and guide it and manage it and everything else. You're gonna laugh at yourself one day, if not today, and say, I just needed to get out of the way and allow it. But the human almost can't help themselves, so they have to keep working at it. And you do, I'm seeing these new, it's kind of a new phenomenon. It's called allowing mantras. I'm seeing Schomburg go to bed at night, I allow, I allow, I allow. Like looking at him going, you're not allowing? Your sphincter is tight. You're back to, your sphincter is tight. You're back to praying. You're back to all the rest of that. Just allow. You know how easy allowing is? Just allow. That's it. Jeez. There's a certain destiny that takes place, though. And I really didn't want to talk about it till now because you'd have gotten really upset with me about it or misunderstood it. But there's a beautiful destiny that takes place. The moment you say, I'm done, last lifetime, and you go from awakening into mastery. The destiny now is that the master starts to come in. And the master, of course, I call it the master, but it's really wisdom. That's all it is. Wisdom of all the lifetimes and this. The master comes in and, in a sense, guides your life. In a way. The master comes in and will not allow things in your life that the human might have done. You see, the human so often is, their life is based on needs and wants. The human life is based on ego and identity. The human life is based on things like, I got to get a better paying job, I got to look younger, I got to do human things. And the master doesn't care right now. The master is blind. The master doesn't care. But the master comes in now in a way to form your destiny. You are going to make it into realization because you've opened. You've said, done with human lives, allowing to a degree of the master. The master comes in. it's frustrating to the human at times because there's things you plan, you think are going to happen. There's things that the human says it needs: money, a partner, more energy. No, you don't need more energy. Well, not whatsoever. You just need to be more efficient with what you have. So the human would get into this whole thing now in planning and doing their life, and the master just, I don't want to say isn't going to allow it. The master plays interference and keeps that human from distracting itself during this time of going into mastery. That's why sometimes the things that the human wants don't work out. That's why the human gets very frustrated. Why isn't this working? I thought I was a creator. Not right now. I mean, you are, but right now, you put it out there. You made a choice to go into realization. And in a way, you could say you've signed an agreement with the master, with your wisdom, saying that you're going to let that master keep you from just going totally human right now. This is a very delicate time, very, very delicate. And it's a time where just a little bit of Makyo can throw you way off the path. This is the time where the human starts to scream. What about this? What about that? I'm feeling awful. I don't know what to do. The master is not going to let you get distracted right now in a bad relationship or a bad job or any of that. So there is a destiny. It was one of the levels I was wondering if somebody would be aware of right now. I feel almost like a magnet pulling me. I feel like that, there's something else controlling all of this, making all this happen. I don't know what it is or where it's coming from, but I feel that, and in a way I really like it, but in another way, damn it, it's interfering with my freedom. It's infringing on my freedom. Absolutely, it is, because you gave it permission. And by the way, that was a one-way permission. You cannot take it back. No, you can't. You can't say one day that you're going to give this permission, your last lifetime, give this permission for the master to really kind of guide your life right now. I mean, the master's not going to come in and give you money or anything like that, but the master will make sure you don't go off on these rabbit trails. You don't go off into some huge distraction. It's actually pretty beautiful when you think about it, when you feel into it. So there is a destiny that's occurring right now in a very beautiful way. There is that magnetic, something like it's just drawing you, it's just moving you through things. Some of you have had the experience lately that in a way you're trying to plan all this stuff and do all this stuff and it keeps falling apart and not working. And then when you just let go, something is guiding you along. And sometimes you want to say it's spirit guides or it's UFOs or whatever. It is truly the destiny of the soul. It's the master guiding you, making sure you don't get too distracted, and also that you don't kill yourself right now. That you don't do something so hazardous as to jeopardize this beautiful new life that is coming into being. So I have to ask the question here, a couple of questions. There is the only other time you've had this sort of destiny in all of your lifetimes on earth was when you first got here. First couple of lifetimes, there was kind of a destiny that you were going to integrate with matter. It was because you agreed to it. So there were some things that overrode what would be your human choices. This is the only other time that there is that soul destiny. And I say that because you're frustrated right now to some degree. Why isn't this working different? Why doesn't this work out when I try it? stop for a moment, commune with the I am, with the Master. They're helping guide you into the realization of what has actually already been actualized in what you would call the future, your realization. It's a beautiful thing, actually, in a way. You realize, I don't have to work at this. I just get to experience it. I don't have to fill it with a bunch of philosophy and macchio, and I don't have to worry about tomorrow. I don't have to worry what's going to happen next. I don't have to worry about it one bit. One bit. You're being guided.